Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video I'm going to be showing you the boost gauge install on my STEVO the Evo project. Now I've actually fit an AEM X series boost gauge, and that uses an electronic sensor that's remotely mounted in the engine bay to monitor basically the boost, and then it sends an electronic signal from that sensor to the gauge on the dash. So I thought I'd show you the setup I've done with a couple of clips of me installing it, edited in, and if you're fitting one, hopefully will speed up your installation process. It did take me quite a while to figure things out, how to, what I had to do, where things had to go, but hopefully if you watch this video, it should be a breeze for you. So yeah, let's have a look at the install. So here he is, STEVO the Evo, and the reason I fit this gauge was mainly for diagnostic reasons. So there is the gauge there on the right, but before we start looking at the gauge, I'll show you the actual sensor and the plumbing in the engine bay. So here we are at the engine bay of STEVO, and this is the position I actually decided to mount the sensor to. I wanted something I could cable tie the sensor to where it's not going to just move around too much, and if I was to cable tie it to metal, I felt like it's going to rattle, it's going to vibrate, but by just cable tying it to this little loom here, it's very securely mounted. It can move a little bit if it needs to, and it's not going to vibrate too much. Now the vacuum line, what the sensor actually reads from, that has to be tapped into your engine basically. So the best place I found to do that was here, and this is the boost line that goes to the blow off valve. So I've actually teed off that, so I just literally cut the wire there, and I've teed off a line, and this line then runs all the way down here to the sensor here. So this line, before I teed off on it, actually goes into the inlet manifold eventually, so it can read whether the car is experiencing vacuum, boost, or anything in between. Now then, with regards to wiring, this wire isn't long enough basically. So I had to extend it so that it would reach all the way from the dashboard to this sensor. So it's quite simple. There's 3 wires. It's a 5-volt feed, power feed, which comes from the gauge. There's a ground that goes to the gauge, and then there's a green signal wire which goes to the gauge as well. So basically I just cut the wire as far up as possible so I could have as much of this shielded cable on the outside of the car as possible, and then I basically just soldered it and shrink wrapped it at the points required for it to hit the gauge. Now then, this wire here actually runs under the car. It runs under the car there, and it actually joins up with a wire that I've run to the SST gearbox. I'm still waiting on a fitting for that, but we'll be fitting that as soon as it arrives. It should be here today. So yeah, I basically just run it along the same path as the SST wire, which was down the subframe and then across the subframe. Then under here there's a grommet, so I basically run the wire through the grommet there, and then there's another grommet behind this trim piece here. It comes out there, up here, behind the dash, up there, and then use the pod gauges. So I'll show you them once I get in the car. So here they are, the pod gauges. Now this is actually a universal pod gauge holder. It's fully adjustable, you can rotate them, you can do all sorts of things. But from the driver's seat, that is perfectly facing me, so that's just how I had them set up. Now with regards to power and ground, behind this head unit, for me there was actually labelled ignition and permanent 12 volt. Now I've had mine run off the switched 12 volt with a manual cut-off switch, so that can manually switch all the gauges off should I not want them on for any reason. Now then, I'm sure you'd like to see the gauge working, so if I can just put the key in, and there it is. I don't know why it always shows 1.9. It should show 0 really, shouldn't it, if you think about it, but I don't know why that is. So I'll start the car up and we can see it sort of working. So that's pretty much it. Now I'll be showing a separate video for this wideband and a separate video for this gauge here. This is actually going to be the SST temperature gauge, and I've got a face on the way which is going to say transmission instead of water, and it's also going to show Celsius instead of Fahrenheit there, and also it's showing 7, so that would be the temperature, ambient temperature right now, I'd imagine. But that sensor is going to have to go into the bottom of the gearbox, and I've got an adapter, but I'll show that in its own video. So hopefully this has helped you a little bit, and if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to like and consider subscribing